Good afternoon, 932nd Maintenance Group. This is Captain Aaron Wolf. Thank you for joining me today. In this presentation, we'll be going over sexual assault prevention and response. There are some slides that are going to follow, and I encourage you to follow along with us. As you know, sexual assault is still a very prevalent issue in our United States Air Force. It is my hope that someday we will live and work in an Air Force that this is not a problem. But until then, we will continue to be vigilant and raise awareness. So let's get started. In today's agenda, we'll be going over reporting outside of the chain of command, independent investigation, mandatory reporters, sexual harassment, unrestricted report, and restricted report. It should be noted that a victim is not required to first notify his or her commander prior to making a report, and should not if the alleged perpetrator is the commander or equivalent or otherwise in the victim's chain of command. Victims have the opportunity to go outside of the chain of command to report the offense to others, including unrestricted reports only. Their next senior commanding officer, commanders outside of their chain of command, the Office of Special Investigation, or an Inspector General. Lastly, the DoD SAPE helpline. If information about a sexual assault comes to a commander's attention from a source other than the victim, that commander must immediately report the matter. An investigation may be initiated based on the independently acquired information. Victims who previously made restricted report can maintain that restricted report and can elect not to participate in this investigation. If a SARC is notified of an independent investigation and the victim has not signed a DD Form 2910 electing a restricted report, the SARC must inform the victim that the option to file a restricted report is no longer available. Mandatory reporters of sexual assault include commanders, chain of command, including supervisors, supervisorial chain, and first sergeants, also Air Force instructors, and law enforcement. Sexual harassment. Not the same as sexual assault, but is along the same continuum of harm. Sexual harassment involves unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Complaints of sexual harassment can be reported to the Equal Opportunity Office or Command. Sexual harassment may be a civil or criminal. Unrestricted report. A process by which an individual discloses, without requesting confidentiality or restricted reporting, that they are a victim of sexual assault. An unrestricted report initiates victim support, law enforcement investigation, and command support. Communications with the SARC or SAPR representative are protected confidential privilege, absent written permission by the victim or applicable exceptions. Note, victims can change their restricted report to unrestricted at any time, but cannot revert their unrestricted report to restricted. Restricted report. This is a reporting option that allows sexual assault victims to confidentially disclose the assault to specified individuals. SARC SAPR representative, or healthcare personnel, thus receive medical treatment, including emergency care, counseling, and victim advocate. This is done without triggering an official investigation or command involvement, unless the victim consents or an established exception is exercised. Victim consultation with a SVC or chaplain preserves a restricted report. Note, victims can change their restricted report to unrestricted at any time, but cannot revert their unrestricted report to restricted. It should be noted that sexual assaults that occur between intimate, married, or dating partners, or when the victim is below the age of 18, are to be reported to the Family Advocate Program or the Director of Psychological Health. See AFI 90-6001 for definitions and additional information. Listed here are some great references for both support and information to continue your education. This concludes today's training. I want to thank each and every one of you for your time. We have to work together and remain vigilant. We cannot stop or rest until there are no more reported sexual assaults in our United States Air Force.